What is up, wrestling fans? It is that time of the week for the Fanlight Zone Wrestling Team to talk all things pro wrestling and call it right down the middle. That's right, it's time for this week's edition of FLZ Wrestling Presents 607 TWS, the wrestling show, powered by FanlightZone.com. Of course, I am your host. My name is Rich. Joining me in the co-pilot's chair as she does each and every week, she is the hunter of the Pokemans because she's got to catch them all. She is the guru of cosplay. But the most important thing for this show is she is a connoisseur of pro grappling. That's right. She is the first lady of Fanlight Zone. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you, Miss Sammy. How are you this week?
You know, I have commercial fatigue, but I'm here and I'm ready to talk about it.
We'll talk about that in a second. And of course, joining us again, the man, the myth, the legend himself. He is the host of the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast, better known as the ODPH. He is also the editor-in-chief and CEO of Fanlight Zone. But most importantly, here on the show, he is also a pro wrestling aficionado. This is the one and only Ken M.
Fanlight Zone Nation. It's been WrestleMania. There's a lot to discuss. Chat, super chat, wrestling chat, however you want to define it. We want to hear your takes in here. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to Fanlight Zone on all major outlets because we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on everywhere you need to be at. And we want to get your takes on wrestling because we have a lot of wrestling content on the website and on YouTube. And we definitely want to hear your takes on the conversation of what is going on in the land of pro wrestling.
Absolutely. And listen, this is going to be a jam-packed WrestleMania hangover show because obviously we got to give our thoughts on the show of the Immortals, if you will, showcase of the Immortals. And so we are going to be going over the entire both nights of WrestleMania card for this show and kind of the fallout that happened with it. Thoughts and opinions aside. And of course, if you are watching live, we want to hear you in the chat. So make sure you drop your thoughts and opinions in the chat because we always love to hear from you. If you are watching on replay, leave us some comments. And hit those thumbs up to give us some love in the algorithm. So with that being said, let's just dive right in. It's time to talk some pro wrestling. It's time to talk WrestleMania. And of course, WrestleMania went down this past weekend, Saturday and Sunday, nights 1 and night 2, respectively, from Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. Actually, technically Paradise, Nevada, but you know, hey, who's counting? We have a WWE recorded. No, we don't do attendance, but I might as well say it. 50,816. And we have for night 1 and night 2 recorded 55,256 for a combined weekend of 106,072. By the way, that is down from last year's WrestleMania significantly by their own numbers. And I'm not going to get into that too much, but I can tell you that night 1 of WrestleMania was reported last year at over 58,000. So it was like almost a 10,000, like almost a 9,000 person like drop in live attendance. Some would blame that on ticket pricing, which probably some of that. I've heard Kevin Nash. I'm not going to get into it, but I've heard Kevin Nash's take on it. I've heard a few other people's takes on it as well. I'm sure there's a little bit of column A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. But yeah, we're here. Let's talk about the elephant in the room because Sammy mentioned commercials. Of course, once again, we're back with the commercials. However, I will say this. We have a new pro tip in this house. There is a new pro tip. If you watch in the States and you are paying for ESPN Direct, do not watch on the ESPN app because it's trash. Watch it on Hulu. Yes, you can watch WrestleMania on Hulu. Because if you have the bundle, if you have the package, so if you have, the Disney bundle, so it's Disney, Hulu, and ESPN, and you have the direct version of it, you can watch it on Hulu. Guess what? We had 0 problems with the feed on night 2 when we switched to that method. And the commercials, we never got the "We'll be right back" commercial. We actually got vignettes for the matches and some commercials.
Yeah, it worked out in our favor for that because night 1 was a little tough to watch. But night 2, shout out to Padawan Jay for pointing us in that right direction.
Damn. This whole time we didn't know. I was always just preaching VPN and watch Netflix internationally. And I still say that, by the way. Save your $30. However,
that's what I did.
Right. However, if you already have the bundle, which Ken M has the bundle, not because of wrestling, he already had it. Hulu is your friend. We now know that. So if we were watching that, we will now watch it on Hulu from now on. Because like I said, we did not get the "We'll be right back." Not once.
Yeah.
There was actual and vignettes.
So I did it the old school DVR way, where you would just kind of wait like 45 minutes for the show to be in and then start it and just fast forward through stuff. Cause I'm like, oh, I remember night one. I'm not doing this.
Yeah, but it's a game changer. You can watch it on Hulu if you're paying for it. If not, VPN it up. There you go. All right. So now let's jump into the wrestling action because we've got done talking about that. Night one, of course, opened up the first hour. First two matches were on ESPN2. So that was a big deal because I do believe the first time live matches have been on, network television or cable television.
Yes, for WWE. Yes,
right. So, with that being said, for WrestleMania specifically. So we opened up with a 6-man tag team match with the Usos, Jay and Jimmy Uso, and LA Knight defeating the Vision, Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and their tag team partner, IShowSpeed. This match got 7 minutes and 8 seconds. Fine match, but let's be honest, everything was about the end because Logan Paul and company blamed IShowSpeed for losing. And then, hey, he had to make his triumphant face turn to send the crowd happy and gave us one hell of a frog splash from the ring through Logan Paul. It was on the announce table. So we got IShowSpeed got a WrestleMania moment and very happy about that. We'll start with you, Ken, since you are the guest of honor, if you will. What were your thoughts on the 6-man tag team extravaganza?
Solid opener. I mean, nothing really super crazy to write home about. IShowSpeed's frog splash to Logan Paul on the announce table at the end, that was picture perfect. Really loved that spot. But overall, I mean, it was what it was going to be.
Sammy, your thoughts on the 6-man tag team match?
Yeah, so for the amount of celebrities involved, IShowSpeed, really showed up, really did well with what he was asked to do, which was really impressive. Overall, though, I thought the match was kind of off. I thought for the amount of time that they got for actual in-ring stuff and the performers involved, I thought they were working a little slow. I thought, you have Logan Paul, you got the Usos, you got guys that can really move. You got IShowSpeed, and I didn't really see a lot of. And I know in WWE they have that preach of take your time, go slow. You think you're going too fast, slow down. And I'm like, this was the opportunity to go out there and have a super kick party, and it just didn't really get that. I was kind of disappointed with that.
I mean, it was what it was. I knew it wasn't going to be great to begin with. Not saying that it was terrible, it just wasn't great. And but I was happy with the WrestleMania moment for IShowSpeed. That was my takeaway. And I think that if that was your takeaway, if that was what they wanted you to take away from it, they nailed it. We'll give them credit. For that. Of course, forgetting the fact that the Vision team of Logan Paul and Austin Theory are your tag team champions. We would remember that the next night on Raw as the return of the Street Profits.
Yes.
By the way, for all those people that said that Montez Ford was looking out of shape at a house show or an NXT house show, I don't know. He looked pretty good to me on Raw.
Yeah, he was ready to go.
He looked like he's about to be a proud father. Of course, we'll just skip to that. So later on in the night when John Cena announced the numbers for the show because he was the host of WrestleMania, we found out Bianca Belair is with child. Her and Montez Ford are expecting. So congratulations to both of them because that's pretty awesome.
Yes,
pretty awesome. I mean, it's sad for us wrestling fans that we won't have Bianca Belair back in the near future, but at the same point in juncture, I'm very happy for them as a couple. Very lovely couple.
Yes.
All right, let's move on with matches, though. Next up, and this was also on ESPN2, unsanctioned match. Jacob Fatu, the Samoan Werewolf, would defeat the Scottish psychopath Drew McIntyre in 14 minutes and 9 seconds. And I'll be honest, this is one of my favorite matches from night one. Very hard hitting, gives a little bit of a different feel than your normal WrestleMania fare for somebody who might be watching on ESPN2. And I think that they delivered on what we thought they were going to deliver on. But Sammy, what did you think of the unsanctioned match?
No, I completely agree. This really felt like two guys that went out there and really wanted to, when they walked back through the curtain, to go top that. And this was a really, really great match. This I felt was a better opener to the show than the tag match.
Agreed. Ken M.
Agree with Sammy 100%. I think they both had a little chip on their shoulder that they thought they should have been main eventing and for different reasons. But I think that they went out and said, okay, if you're going to put us on second, we're going to take the show from everybody. And I think that was a great way to go about it. It was a fantastic match. And the outcome is where it needed to be.
And we'll talk about the Samoan Werewolf a little later, obviously. Now let's move on to the Fatal 4-Way tag team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. And of course, your champions coming in, the Irresistible Forces, Nia Jax and Lash Legend in their homage to the new Hall of Famers Demolition, which was pretty dope. Then we had Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Of course, Alexa Bliss playing homage to Bray Wyatt with her attire for WrestleMania. And then we had Bailey and Lyra Valkyria matching as always. And then we had the last team, which was supposed to be Nikki and Brie Bella, the Bella twins. However, Nikki Bella is not cleared after we found out not only did she break, but she shattered her ankle and it's reconstructive surgery. A little worse than we thought. Obviously, they were playing it off. And in one of the worst kept secrets of all time, we got the fact that Nikki couldn't wrestle. So Brie still had to have a WrestleMania moment. So Nikki found a suitable replacement. And oh boy, this house lit up because the dog was on the prowl, as Paige officially made her return to World Wrestling Entertainment in this match. And of course, this match would get 8 minutes and 33 seconds. And at the end of the day, your winners and the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Brie, Bella, and Paige. And let's just say what this was. This match was fine for what it was. There was some interesting action, but it was just a come home party for Paige, which is fine. Crowd popped huge. It was one of the biggest pops probably of the weekend, if I had to estimate, for the return of Paige. And I was okay with it just because I think that you couldn't have her come back and have them lose.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Bellas would have walked out tag champions, maybe. But I think that once you had to switch to Paige, you had to be like, okay, there's no turning back at this point in juncture. And I thought that it was the right call overall, I'm going to say, just because optics. It'd be weird to have somebody have that big of a return and then just be like, oh, yeah, now you get to lose. But what say you, Ken?
I'm just admiring the dog punched in the ceiling here at the ODPH studios because he was much like everybody else when they saw Paige return to the stage. It was a moment. The only thing wrong with it, I wish it didn't get ruined by the internet and it was a true surprise. I think
the internet didn't ruin. WWE ruined.
Well, that's what I mean.
Saying that she resigned,
right? But the fact that got leaked out and it was all over the internet. Like I said, if that didn't happen, I thought that would have been like a top 5 pop of all time for Mania. But the match was what it was. I understand why they did it, like you alluded to. If Paige is coming back, there's no way she was losing. Like this is the most telegraphed finish that we knew was going to happen. And it's a shame too, because I think what Nia and Lash have been doing with the tag team division has been remarkable. And I think that they deserve the longer run. I love the Demolition homage gear that they wore out. And I'm hoping that Backlash that they win them back.
And that's a possibility. It's a good possibility. Sammy, your thoughts?
The match was what it was. It was never going to be an all-time spectacular wrestling affair. However, we have continued to praise women's tag teams in wrestling, especially in WWE and in AEW. And I think this continues that trend because while it wasn't a great wrestling match, there was a lot of storytelling in here. And obviously the return of Paige is massive and a huge boost just to the women's division overall. I just look at WWE with the men's tag division. I'm like, just do what you're doing with the women, consolidate the belts and just get them rotating between all 3 shows. Like that seems to work with the women. Why can't you do it with the guys? Hello.
Would make sense. Make sense. Next up, we had the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship match. Your champion, AJ Lee, taking on the challenger, big time Bex, the man, Becky Lynch. This match got 8 minutes and 15 seconds. And at the end of the day, your winner and new WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion, Becky Lynch. Let's be honest. It was the right call. We knew that this was going to happen. The match itself, much like the rest of their feud, kind of, I'm going to say underwhelming. The playing to the ring by the Wonder Years for Becky Lynch was the worst case of lip syncing I've ever seen. And I mean, I think I'm being generous about that. Yeah. All the way around. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it also wasn't good. Your thoughts, Sammy?
For the parties involved, and you have Becky Lynch, the man, the top women's wrestler easily of the past, 10 years at this point. And you have AJ Lee, who's got a massive resume. They can do better than this.
Yeah, this was underwhelming. And I think when we were seeing this feud get put together, there's a lot of excitement behind it. But I think at the end of the day, It was a great send off for AJ, a proper one for whenever she's going to come back. And for Becky to have the IC title, it made sense because now, depending on who's going to be the next challenger for her, she can work a program with an upcoming superstar, possibly somebody debuting from NXT, and get them fully established. So I understand the move, but I think it was just a very underwhelming match for what we were expecting because we always hold both Becky and AJ in such high regard.
Agreed. Next up, we had the singles match between Gunther, the ring general, and of course, Seth frickin' Rollins. Match got 17 minutes and 52 seconds. At the end of the day, Gunther would win via submission after an assist from the return of Braun Breaker. And listen, the match itself, it's not about the match itself. The match itself was very good. Probably the best match of night one. As far as the in-ring match, which no surprise there. Two of the best wrestlers in the world doing what they do best. Fine. I'm good with that. I'm good with the Braun Breaker return. We all kind of called it away. Myself and you said Braun Breaker. Sammy said Bronson Reed. Either way, we called some sort of interference in this match. Guess what? We got it. And that's fine. My only criticism is that Braun, you had one job, and that's to land not one but two spears, and neither one of them hit. From a guy who usually does some tremendous spear work, oh boy, it was a little off. However, it is what it is. I don't think it diminished the match as much as it's just a detraction that I can point to. Starting with you, Ken M., what did you think about the Gunther-Seth Rollins match?
Best wrestling match of the night, worst ending of the night. I think, and I understand why Braun interfered. I get it. I just don't like it because I thought they were telling such a great match to have it ruined in that manner. But it helps to push the Seth Braun storyline along now that Braun is back and healthy. And for Gunther, yeah, it makes the most sense for him to win depending on where he's going next. So yeah, but I thought it was a great match until then. But it's like one of those matches that you get hooked watching, and then you don't want to see it end in such a manner.
Agreed. Sammy, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's disappointing for Braun. And it's WWE is just built on moments and social media clickbait stuff and like that, and to miss, it's just a big miss, and it just kind of stinks. We've seen the massive spears from him. It didn't really detract from the match overall. Seth and Gunther were telling a really good story out there, a story that I don't know how it'll continue with the two of them, but obviously it is going to continue with the Vision and Gunther being affiliated in some way. So that's kind of cool. So more to come on this, but this was a cool first act overall.
Yes. Next up, we have the Women's World Championship match. Your champion, La Primera, Stephanie Vaquer, defending it against the 2026 Royal Rumble winner, and she's trouble. That's right, Liv Morgan. This match got a disappointing 6 minutes and 51 seconds. We're going to talk about it. And your winner and the new Women's World Champion, Liv Morgan. And I'm going to just bow the way for you, Sammy. What's your thoughts on the Women's World Championship match?
Highly, highly disappointing. The two people involved. I mean, we talked about it with most of these matches, with the parties involved and what they're capable of. I guess the reports are coming out now that both Stephanie and Liv were pretty banged up, and that could be a reason why they got the reduced amount of time. I don't know. This was just very disappointing. This was the second most hyped match going into Mania, and then it ends up like right kind of there in the middle of the card, basically towards the end of the card, but just highly disappointing. All entrance. That's all this was. All entrance.
Ken M.
See, this pains me to say this. This was arguably the best feud buildup for all of Mania, arguably, with Roman and Punk. I think it was probably 1A, 1B.
Yep.
The fact that this felt like a Monday Night Raw match instead of a WrestleMania moment just took the wind out of the sails. And it was so deflating to see this. And if they both were hurt and they had to cut the match short and rework the ending, okay, fine. That's completely fair then. But if this is the original plan from point A to point B, it should never feel like something I see every week. It should have some more gravity to it. This just didn't happen, and this was just so disappointing on that aspect. I'm happy for Liv. I mean, definitely deserve the title. Stephanie will bounce back, and if they want to run it back when both are healthier, sure, go right ahead. But for being Mania, the co-main event, and we were arguing that this should have been the main event, deflating.
So I'm going to start off and just echo it. It was disappointing. Yeah, I think that they left a lot on the table, and it's WrestleMania. So now I'm going to get a tad bit of heat, and that's fine. So we don't know if they were injured or not. We don't know if they're banged up or not. We don't know if this is just WWE trying to save their own ass because they gave it a little less than 7 minutes. So who knows? But I will say this, and take what you will. And I'm always about people being healthy. There's certain things and certain times where you have to put certain things on the back burner and just go for the gold. And WrestleMania is one of them.
Mm.
Moments at WrestleMania will live forever, and it can establish a legacy. There's plenty of people who you wouldn't know other than the fact that they had a match at WrestleMania and that legacy was set. And I'm not saying this the end all be all. I'm not saying to go out there and be unsafe. But let's say you're banged up, but you were cleared to wrestle, but you're banged up. And you don't go out there and try to tear it down.
Yeah.
That's now one of two things is here. Either WWE's lying about it to save their ass and using, their network of people on the IWC, because trust me, there's pro WWE IWC just the same as there's anti, to try to spread that narrative. Or now you're putting it on the two young women who are very talented and saying, hey, they just didn't want it enough. They're too injured.
Yeah.
Need we remind people at WrestleMania 40, Seth Rollins wrestled twice with a torn knee and even came out real painfully for the main event spot. Remember when he was using a chair to literally walk to the ring? And that wasn't because he was faking it. Because think about it, he didn't take a knee injury during the night. He already had a hurt knee and could barely walk and got into the ring to perform a final spot. That is how important WrestleMania is, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have agreements?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were just banged up, and I understand she had the head and thing and everything, but then you should have worked. You should have switched the directions. If you're too concussed or too whatever, you shouldn't be in the ring. That means they failed the health. So once again, on WWE. And if not, that means you need to go out there and do something.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the two things is true. And I'm really hoping it's just WWE dropping and fumbling the ball because it should have been the main event and them going, oh, this is why it wasn't the main event.
Yeah.
And I think that's the real answer. And they didn't think they were going to get the backlash they got. That's my initial knee-jerk reaction, because if not, it's sad to say, I don't know if I'd want either of them as champion. And I like both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't show up for Mania because you're banged up, okay. Change the other channel. You go over to AEW. Chris Statlander was wrestling with a major injury, and you wouldn't have known.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that I want people to get injured and wrestle with them.
But
I'm just saying that if the show is on your shoulders and you're a star, you have to work through it. Shawn Michaels famously wrestled the main event against Stone Cold Steve Austin with a broken back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying once again that it's the greatest thing, but you have to step up to the plate. This is the night of it. This is the night that's going to make you a legend. And a 7-minute match isn't going to do that because neither of them nobody's going to remember this match at the end of the day.
No, especially with just the parties involved in WWE and especially around WrestleMania, the amount of retired talent and alumni talent that come in. You're going to tell me that if you two are banged up with that many great minds involved, you couldn't come up with something? That's what you come up with? You've
had a blood feud. Brawl outside the ring for a little bit. It's entertaining and it's safer for both.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Heck, you were just the rest of the guys that went on after you were preaching about the Attitude Era for whatever reason. 30 years old, have an Attitude Era match then. But it would make sense.
Right. I agree. But we've seen this playbook before. Steve Austin had that wonderful match with Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
In his last match, if you will. And what did they do to cover up for the fact that Austin is not 100% and can't really take the bumps that he used to? They did a brawl through the crowd. It's exciting, And it's in a lot of ways a lot more safe, depending upon what you're doing, than doing moves in the ring. And it gets the crowd amped and excited. You could have easily done something, a schmoz all over the place, gotten the Judgment Day involved that way. And then by the time you got in the ring, you could have had a shorter wrestling match. You could have had it 15 minutes. The only time in the wrestling match could have been like in the actual wrestling ring could have been like literally 5 or less, and you would have made it more exciting. There's ways around if they were banged up, but that's on the company. That's not on the performers. The way that the rumors came out, it was putting the bag right on the performers. Mm-hmm. And saying, hey, well, we had a different match plan, but then they were banged up coming in, so we let them go light. That means the performers had to have come to you and said, we can't do it.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't like it, because it smells to me like WWE just threw their performers under the bus. And is that on brand for them? Absolutely. Do I think that was the case? I hope it wasn't. I can't prove it 100%, but I'm going to tell you 70-30 says that it was WWE trying to cover their ass. But if that 30% happens to be true, then I have questions going forward about both of them being main event players.
Well, this was the most glaring example throughout the weekend, but that kind of mindset, though, kind of creeps into the overall show for a lot of it. Just that whole, this is WrestleMania, and some people just didn't really go for it. And it's like, this is it. This is the Super Bowl. This is the World Series. This is WrestleMania.
There was a lot of phoning in. I agree with you. And most of it was on night one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there. There was a lot of phoning in. Because speaking of which, you don't think I was going to avoid this. The Undisputed WWE Championship was on the line in the main event of night one. Your champion, the American Nightmare, QB1, Cody Rhodes, taking on the number one contender, Randall Keith Orton, with one Pat McAfee in his corner. Stipulation on this match is that if Randy Orton did not get the job done and become your 15-time WWE champion, that Pat McAfee would never step foot in wrestling again. Listen, this is the story nobody wanted. They fumbled coming into it of an easy layup. This is one of those times in wrestling and in sports in general where you get in the fast break and all you have to do is just a layup and to win the game.
Yeah.
And instead you try to go for the under the legs dunk and just brick it, and you lose the game. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the best analogy for this. They, due to TKO, due to whoever, Ari Emanuel, whoever the hell made the decision, we interjected Pat McAfee for no nonsensical damn reason and thought that was going to be enough. When all you had to do was have the two guys go out there. And I will say this, when the actual wrestling match was going on between Randy and Cody, it was fine. The actual wrestling match. The outside stuff, giving credit to Jelly Roll, nice splash through a table. But let's be honest, in between the ropes, it was fine. Hell, I even like the finish. Because Cody Rhodes, to get the win, had to go low. Yeah. Which he's never done that. He's always done the right thing. But those talks from CM Punk and from Stephanie McMahon obviously paid off. Once again, where did Pat McAfee play into that?
Well, where do I begin here? Okay, so we, like I said with Becky and AJ, like we hold the wrestlers, on pedestals here. Randy and Cody have had a storyline built for years. Like you don't need to add anything to it. For whatever reason, the powers that be decide to add Pat McAfee into it. They do. They add a stipulation nobody cares about unless you're a diehard Pat McAfee fan.
Which nobody is.
Which very few people. I mean,
I said nobody.
Yeah, which I mean, like I said, you can say nobody, but I say he's got his fan base for his radio show, which is, it is what it is. But as far as wrestling goes, this is not moving the needle. Putting Jelly Roll.
It did. It moved the needle.
It moved it to a different direction than I think anybody wanted it to go. But
turned it fucking down.
Yeah. Yeah. But you basically make a meatball sundae out of just something that's an easy meal. And it's like, what are we doing here? And the fact that you made it so messy with McAfee getting frog splashed or splashed, whatever the case was with Jelly Roll on the announce table, he's stretchered out. Like, why are we doing this for the main event of night one, let alone a main event period?
Then not to be outdone, Ken.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee returns after the referee bump to then not to count a normal cadence count.
Yes.
A normal cadence count
That's
with a
where I was
kick out
going with this.
to only get fucking RKO'd by Randy Orton.
Yeah. So the entire buildup of your storyline is he's the voice in Randy's head because reasons. He runs out as a referee. And
that makes sense.
He's supposed to help Randy win and does one of the slowest and most respectful 3 counts I have ever seen done on the indies or in a major federation.
Credit to Pat McAfee, perfect cadence.
Yes.
Perfect cadence.
But still makes no sense with the storyline at hand. So Randy RKO's him, and then we go to the finish.
Low blow,
which, okay, Rhodes Lander cometh. All right, fine. But still at this stage, everybody's tuned out because you overcomplicated one of the easiest matches you could do. And then obviously you fumbled the ending, in my opinion, because nobody wanted this ending unless, you're a Cody fan, because the writing was on the wall to give the belt to Randy. And then you go from there. But no, we're going to give it to QB1 because of reasons. And it doesn't make any damn sense because now after how the match ends, because, we just can't get enough of this storyline because, you've already made it messy enough. We're just going to throw more gas on the fire. And we bring back the punt. And then Cody's eye is completely messed up.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, to be fair, I don't think the punt messed up the eye. I think the eye got messed up during the match at some point because if you look, the punt looks perfect.
Okay.
Like he placed it perfect. So his eye, I think, got messed up somewhere else.
There was a punch at some point that looked a little suspect.
To be fair, the punt actually, if you go back and watch the punt landed perfect. Like old rubber leg was back in the building. It was good. So there. And to answer that, to kind of follow up on it, this solidified that the original plan was for Randy Orton to win.
Yes.
The ending of the match solidified the way that they ended with the punt and everything solidifies that Randy Orton was meant to win the match. And because of the backlash, because of adding stuff that nobody gave a damn about, they had to switch. But instead of like switching in a logical sense, they just went, okay, we'll just do it this way, which made no sense. So once again, they had time to pivot. Even if you decided Friday night, you had time to come up with a finish. Like I said, the finish was fine with the low blow and stuff, but the Pat McAfee stuff made no sense because at least do the fast count. And maybe, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Starrcade. Because remember, Nick Patrick comes out.
Wrong.
Nick Patrick comes out. He's supposed to do a fast count. That's why Bret Hart restarts the match. And instead, he does a normal cadence count.
Yeah.
So now there's no screw job. So when Bret Hart restarts the match, now it looks like the screw job.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
And that is exactly what this reminded me of. Because now you're like, Pat McAfee comes out. Perfect cadence. 1, 2. Kicks out.
Yeah. Why is he cutting it down the middle now?
And then,
why didn't he? I mean, there's so many other ways they could have done this.
I know I cut you off, Sammy. Is you anything? What would you like to add to this party of shitting on it?
Well, all right. So let's talk a couple of things here. Number one, Pat McAfee is apparently done with wrestling, and I think which we applaud it now, but like a year ago we wouldn't be, because Pat McAfee did bring a certain part to wrestling that a lot of people did enjoy. Not everyone,
in the role.
but yes,
if he stayed in the role of a commentator that we all loved and occasionally mixed it up.
Yes.
But as soon as you try to make him like a heel, he can't handle the microphone, which is weird for a guy who makes a living by talking.
Yes.
Continue.
So that's number one. So the story that was told at WrestleMania eliminated Pat McAfee from the equation. Hopefully. I mean, obviously it's wrestling, anything's possible, but based upon where they're going, it sounds like he's out of it, which is a good thing. What happened last year with Cena and Cody, we all kind of didn't like. It was clearly kind of messed around with. So I guess we're just going to run this back at SummerSlam to fix the issue. So Randy will win at SummerSlam, and we're just going to roll that back again because, creative and bankrupt. So, it's like, we screwed it up last year. We fixed it at SummerSlam. Oh, we screwed it up this year. We'll do it at SummerSlam. So I guess that's good. Like, the story gets to continue. So maybe now they can actually tell it properly and just never talk about WrestleMania, which is stupid, but at least Cody and Randy's story can continue, I guess. But let's be honest, this was doomed right from the get-go. This was doomed when McIntyre won the belt. not that we didn't want McIntyre to be champion. I think McIntyre was a fine champion, but just like the hot potato with the belt then, and then the quick build up, which we said like, hey, this is kind of a quick turnaround, but we were like, no, it's Cody and Randy. It writes itself. They literally used none of that. Throw Pat McAfee into the mix, and this is what we got. I understand the idea of like, okay, you guys have this amazing history together. But we don't want the same type of night one main event as night two, where you guys are going to go out there and have a killer wrestling match. I get that idea of you want something a little bit different, but you want something a little bit different. Not this. This was a disaster, absolute disaster, and really just put an ugly bow on a WrestleMania night one. And it's at this point where I have to question, should WrestleMania even be 2 nights? Because the last couple of years, night one has stunk.
Well, no, what it should be is they need to rebalance. Although last year's WrestleMania night one main event was great. The thing is they need to more balance the shows. And that would take some actual brain trust. You know what I mean? There has to become more of a balance and a cohesion to the shows. Like perfect example would be WrestleMania 39 managed very well with the 2 nights. You have one of the greatest women's matches of all time with Charlotte and Rhea Ripley on 39. You also have the emotional main event with the tag team match with Sammy, Kevin Owens, and the Usos. And then night 2 is night 2. Although we were all pissed, that Cody didn't win, but it worked out in the end. So WrestleMania 39 to me proves that, yes, you can do 2 good nights. And as somebody who went to the last WrestleMania that was one night, which was 35, and then also went to 40, just as a fan in attendance, I'm not talking about at home, but as a fan in attendance, 12 hours in a building really sucks. 2 nights where it's like 5 hours a night is a lot better. I just want to throw that out there just because I was at MetLife for 12 hours. It's a long day when it's just one night. So yeah, I still am on the side. I just think once again, to the point, you have to book the show better. You can't, this is where you need to really put your booking shoes on. And one thing you said that I'm sure is their logic, and I'm 110% sure you're right, Sammy, that I think is the flaw of this, is there can be 2 great wrestling matches as the main event both nights.
Yeah.
That's the point. That is the entire effing point.
The name of the show is WrestleMania. This is your opportunity to put on the best wrestling.
And if you want spectacle, you can do spectacle and wrestling. Once again, 40 proved that both nights were technically great wrestling matches that had extras, right?
Yeah.
Night 1 was the tag match that led into night 2. And in both of them, well, night 1 didn't really have any interference, which it didn't need, but night 2, because it was Bloodline Rules, had interference. But that was fine. It played out. The spectacle was there and the wrestling was there. So you can do both on both nights. You really can. We've seen it. But once again, that creative bankruptcy starts leaking in. And we'll talk about it after we talk about night 2, because it continues in the fallout.
Yeah.
Some good, some bad, some ugly. Obviously, we're going to talk about it. And it's just like, to me, it's just like, here we go. Like, I get it. The bosses up top allegedly forced you to add more stars. And you went to the cupboard for Pat McAfee for numerous reasons, which the dumbest one of all time was saying that, oh, well, I gave him more of a reason to cover it. Listen, every WrestleMania, Pat McAfee has done it from WrestleMania, and he has done the whole week with wrestlers every year since he's been involved with WWE, and that goes back quite a ways. And that was even before the ESPN show. So now with your partnership with ESPN, right, there's no reason to turn back. Hell, they're still doing it. I mean, let's be honest, Seth Rollins just walked off a show. What was it, today or yesterday?
Yeah. Today.
It was today for the draft, right?
Yep.
Walked off a show because they're, people calling wrestling fake and so on and so forth, which, hey, obviously, if you're making money off of it, maybe you should get to your people and say, hey, we pay you. Maybe you should shut your mouths. Draws more than the other garbage that you're doing on that shit, piss poor network, because nobody pays attention to what any of your commentators say anymore, because ESPN's full of a bunch of mindless idiots. Like, that's just me shooting on them, because as somebody who enjoys sports, their take on everything is wrong. Name the last time a ESPN commentator had a thoughtful opinion on any sport. And by the way, most of them are failed at the sport that they were in.
No, and it's gotten so, not to get too off subject, but it's gotten so bad at ESPN over the years that the major sports leagues have all started their own networks and stuff like that's they all did it because they're like, ugh.
Absolutely. And ESPN
They
can't
saw the
even get
writing on the
sports.
wall.
Think about it. Everybody is no longer on ESPN. That's why they need WWE, because what do they have? Sunday Night Baseball?
Well, they even messed around with baseball. Remember
No,
that
they have
last
Sunday
year?
Night Baseball still, but that's it.
No, but you remember, but remember last year with the baseball and the rights deal and all that? Like they even messed around with that last year. So like they got nothing.
Right. It's terrible. Right. They Monday Night Football. I'm sorry, but you can watch that on ABC.
That's
Which is
ABC.
the same company.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's still my point stands, and I can go into that side. And not as a wrestling fan, I'm not just defending Seth Rollins here. I am talking as a pure sports fan. And by the way, if you want to hear sports talk, Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast, better known as the ODPH, every week, wherever you get great podcasts. There you go. Plug for you.
Appreciate it.
I'm a plugging machine. That's where good sports get talked. But unfortunately, not on ESPN. So yeah, calling somebody else for a fake sport is kind of hilarious to me in its own.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting
but I digress. Let's get back to talking about WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point. Like I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Does WWE belong on ESPN? Absolutely not. No, it doesn't. It doesn't fit well. And that's not because I'm like, oh, I'm such a sports purist. I just understand it doesn't fit well there. And ESPN as a company, even though they're owned by Disney, they do terrible pay-per-view, hence why you can't watch it on their app. But we knew that from UFC.
Yeah. ESPN needs WWE more than WWE needs ESPN, but you would not notice it on the way that this whole WrestleMania was built up. And even the whole partnership from the get-go. It's like, no, you need them more than they need you, but it just does not ever appear that way.
It just didn't click.
Yeah. So it ruined our main event of night one.
Yeah.
And then, but I'm not letting Triple H and Creative off either, because they had enough time to pivot. They had enough time. They just chose not to. But that's enough wasting on that. Let's go to the better night of wrestling, because night two did still happen, and thankfully night two still happened. Because did it save WrestleMania as a whole? No. I'm gonna fight it. But at least there was better things that happened on night two. And let's start off, because for the first time ever, WWE was live on ESPN for the first hour of WrestleMania 42, and there was two matches. The first two matches were shown live, and of course, that first match was the Ruler Obafemi taking on the Beast Brock Lesnar in a literal what happens when two big meaty men clash in the middle of a ring. And I was here for it. By the way, match got 4 minutes and 46 seconds. So for the people out there that would keep their stopwatches, and I understand I had a problem with some of the times, but if you think that a match needs 20 minutes to be a great match, once again, this proves no, it doesn't. You had two big meaty men out there who smashed the hell out of each other for 4 minutes and 46 seconds. And I don't need to see them do that for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I was perfectly fine with this. I did have one spot, we'll talk about in a second. Of course, this match got 4 minutes and 46 seconds, as I mentioned. And at the end of the day, your winner, the Ruler Obafemi, cementing him as the next big thing. Yes, I said it. I'm going to say it again. We said it before. And boy, oh boy, did I call it right. And I know you both agreed when I said that I know that Brock is going to put this kid over. And he put him over and made him look like $1 million. The only mistake in the match, and you could tell Brock was in control of calling the match, which was perfect. Had the kid slow down, told the kid when to no sell, perfect. The only mistake that was in this whole match to me was when Oba eats the F5, he didn't get up quick enough. Because I think Brock wanted him to milk it slightly, but I think he wanted him to pretty much pop back up. Because you can see Brock kind of looks and notices he's not up, so he turns back around to gloat to the crowd a little longer. And I think that Brock kind of, and I'm not saying that he was mad at him after, but I think Brock probably afterwards was like, hey, dude, you got to hop up. Like the whole point is I'm putting you over, like over. So you have to be there. But it's fine. At the end of the day, I'm fine with it. Let's start there, and then we'll talk about post-match. So, Ken, your thoughts on Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar?
A star is made.
Absolutely.
I mean, listen, if anybody was not buying into the aura around Obafemi, there's no way after watching this match you can't be. From the strut down to the chants in the crowd, he is their next big superstar without question. Match went perfectly. For anybody who's questioning about Brock and what he was going to do, he showed a lot of the same symbolism, I guess I would say, that he got with the Undertaker. So like I say, it was almost parallel to each other.
Yeah, I dug. Like I said, I think that you could tell that he was calling the match. A lot of those no sells were great. I thought it was a great call by Brock. And Oba did his more than did his part. Sammy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it though, is Oba did his part. And in going into WrestleMania and knowing what the match is going to be, knowing you're working with Brock Lesnar, knowing you're going to have a hot crowd, and knowing the finish, you can't blame Brock and Oba and Paul Heyman for just being a little amped up over everything. So the couple of little blips there, it's not a huge deal. It's a huge WrestleMania moment for all three parties involved. And I mean, it's really just a case of the sky's the limit for Oba. So I think King of the Ring tournament this year, winner. I think you really just have to do the Brock formula. And if you go back and you look at Brock's WWE resume, he's been King of the Ring winner, he's a Royal Rumble winner, and he's been a WWE Universal or WWE Heavyweight Champion. That's it. He never won an Intercontinental, never was a tag team, whatever. No, just a big belt. And I think you have Paul Heyman, who was the Brock Lesnar, advocate. I don't think you need to do that, but getting the opportunity for all three to work together, I hope Paul Heyman just stays in his ear and be like, listen, just do what Brock did, kid, and you'll be all set.
That's true. But to an extent, I will say this: Oba Femi is good on the microphone, though.
Mm-hmm.
He
doesn't need.
Later,
you know what I mean?
I want to talk about that after when we talk about Fallout. But he is good on the mic, so I don't mind him speaking as much as like you had to have Paul Heyman for the other. But I agree with every point you made. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room here, because Brock Lesnar said "fuck Gunther," and called it a career. After the match, an emotional moment, takes off the gloves, takes off the wrestling shoes, and retired on the spot. And some people pointed out, which was true, if you notice at one point before he hugs Paul Heyman, he throws the X up, which does mean injury usually in wrestling, but it also means that you're calling an audible. So it looks like almost on the fly that he decided to retire. I don't know how true it is. There was no video package. There was a video package the next day, but there was no video package that night. It seemed like the commentators were even kind of taken aback by it. Paul Heyman seemed to be surprised by it because there's the emotional that they had in the ring. And it was very weird for me to see Brock Lesnar cry. I mean, at one point, Ken goes, "Is he laughing?" And I'm like, "No, he's crying." Like he turned, his face was red. He was crying. I thought that I will say this, it was a beautiful moment. Him leaving the building, him praising the fans, giving the fans props. I thought it was a beautiful moment. Say what you will, there's been some controversy things about Brock Lesnar, but he did mean a lot to pro wrestling. And I will also say that his last run, about the last 5 or 6 years, you could tell that he was really invested. And I think that came across when he retired. I think that him thanking the fans and getting emotional showed how much he really loved doing this. Am I saying that it was the last match? No, because I can see a way to still get Gunther versus Brock at SummerSlam if they want to, because obviously Paul Heyman owes Gunther a favor. And that's a possibility. But I will say this, if that match happens, I need Gunther to get beat. I don't think you bring Brock back to get beat. It'd be hilarious if he F5s the hell out of him or goes into business for himself, because you don't get cute with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
You could ask a litany of people. So that's my take on that. What say you, Ken?
So the more I'm thinking about this, I think Brock, understanding the business, knew that there would be no better moment. Even if he wanted to wait to do it in front of his, hometown, Minneapolis, and have that moment there. Or like I say, where he has so much history, I don't think it would have been as impactful as WrestleMania. I'm sorry, Mania is the biggest card of the year. There's a reason it's where all the legends are born. You can have a great thing at SummerSlam, sure, but it's Mania. He did something everybody will remember. He put Oba over. So he now has said, I've now made sure the business or the future of the business is well taken care of. What else do I have to do? Am I going to have a better moment than right now? Sure. Could he come back? Yeah, I guess. But are you going to have that same emotion? And the answer is no. That emotion he showed in that ring solidified. He's done. He felt this was it. There was no better way to go out. He went on his own terms, had the embrace with Paul, waved to the fans. This was a closing of a door that he wanted to go out on his own terms. And honestly, there's nothing more Brock Lesnar than going out on your own terms.
I agree with that. I think that I really actually hope that they don't bring him back for that reason. You know, he can do spot appearances, but I think this was one of those moments where you look back and go, oh, that was a perfect time. Because like you add all those things up. He like, to put it in like terms of all of us, he got his replacement for his job. He put the replacement and trained the replacement, if you will. And then he bows out. And what better way? Because now this puts over Oba even more.
Mhm.
Not only did Oba beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, not only was it a convincing win between the two, not only is he now the new next big thing, and he's taken over the mantle, if you will, from Brock, but now you get to say I retired Brock too. You know, I had Brock Lesnar's last match. And Brock Lesnar gets to say, yep, that kid proved that he deserves to be where he's at, and I'm going home.
Mm-hmm.
My job is done here. Salute to everybody, and we're gone.
Yeah.
Sammy, your thoughts?
You know, Brock helped put Roman in the position that he's in. He helped put Cody in the position that he's in. And now he's helping to establish Oba. And right now, this is a huge gift to Oba. And he's got the charisma, he's got the talent, he's got everything you need to take this and run with it. For the rest of his career, he slayed the beast. There's nothing left for Brock to do. Mm-hmm. Now, like you said, Rich, could he come back in some sort of a way? Could Gunther cash in a favor with Paul Heyman and that could go awry and Paul Heyman's run out of protectors and Brock come save the day and they have some sort of a street fight at SummerSlam or whatever? Sure, you could book that, but no. I think this is the best way for Brock to go out. And, ultimately, we talked a lot about this too with AJ Styles. We saw what John Cena did and what he wanted to do for the business with his retirement tour, but not everyone needs to do that. Not everyone wants to do that. AJ wanted to go out Royal Rumble. He was done. And Brock very well could have. They could have had plans for him all the year. And he's just like, you know what? I'm good. And you hear that a lot with athletes all the time where it's like, you know what? This just isn't fun anymore. You know what? Trying to come back from the injuries, any number of reasons where you just feel it. And it's like, nope, I'm done. And what better moment?
I'm glad you put it that way because giving credit to Brock Lesnar seems to know and has known he has a pulse on what's good for business. Because think about it, we've talked about audibles all the time. I mean, the handshake with Cody was an audible.
Yeah,
like that wasn't planned. Cody even has admitted that wasn't planned. Brock put him over because Brock wanted to put him over with a handshake. He didn't have to do it. Obviously we've seen. He worked hard to put over Roman Reigns. Very harder than what anybody should have had to work back when nobody was rejecting him. Mm-hmm. I mean, to the point we've talked about it, throwing the belt at Vince because he thought that he should have put over Roman. Yeah. So like, he's very passionate about things he gets to do. So if this was his audible and he said, you know what, this is the moment. I know we could do more, but this is the moment. Kudos to that. Because once again, that's on brand for him. Yeah. Having his finger on the pulse. Like you said, Ken, you're never going to find a more emotional, better time. That crowd gave him everything back. It was weird to see a man that we've never seen show that kind of emotion, with tears in his eyes. And you could tell genuinely thankful.
Yes.
Like when he was looking out at the crowd and thanking them, you could tell he was genuinely thankful for all of them. Although I did say to Ken, like, leaving his shoes in the ring, that's a long ramp to walk in your socks. Yeah. After wrestling even, you know what I mean? So kudos to him. But the show did go on, an emotional high, and then the show went on because we had in the second ESPN match, the 6-pack ladder match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Your champion, Penta, defending against Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Rusev, and Rey Mysterio. And this match got 15 minutes and 8 seconds. At the end of the day, your winner and still the WWE Intercontinental Champion, Penta. And hey, this lived up to what we thought it was going to be. By the way, huge star-making performance like we thought for Javon Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Huge star-making moment, which we'll talk about here in a second. He kind of got to share that the next night, but we'll talk about it after the match. Sammy, your thoughts on the 6-pack ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship?
Yeah, for what we've seen in ladder matches, there generally are they can be like a massive car wreck, and this wasn't that, but in a good way. Like everyone got like a really good opportunity, including Rusev. He had a couple of really good spots in this match where everyone got to do something, one or two spots that looked really good, was really highlighted really well. This wasn't an absolute car wreck, which I'm fine with. This night, the opening stuff on ESPN was far superior than night one. Far
Agreed.
superior.
Agreed, Ken.
Rusev was robbed.
I agree.
Not going to work for me, brother.
I was gonna say the ending's not gonna work for me, brother. No, in all honesty, great match, star-making performance for Javon. They're gonna show that highlight forever. His cutter there, and for Penta, I was surprised he retained because usually in these kind of situations it doesn't happen. But listen, I'm happy. Penta has been a great Intercontinental Champion, and we go from there. Like now, with what happened on Monday night, I think I know who's going to be taking the belt from him.
I dig. I was going to give a shout out to a friend, but I'm going to save that for a different match because it fits in with both, and I'll know there. I will say this: I did dig the whole Penta winning. I think that works out great. It sets up for some things, and then like I said, a huge start. Like the biggest thing I took away from this, huge star-making performance for Javon Evans, which we all knew. I mean, he's already a star at 21 years old. That's it's phenomenal. The sky's the limit. And then, like I said, then he gets to share because the fallout of it, he has a match with somebody he's very familiar with a feud from NXT as All Ego Ethan Page made his debut on the main roster and got to fight Javon Evans and beat Javon Evans, well, underhandedly, but still beat him, which some of that star power, it's not that he lost it. It just gets shared now.
Yeah.
And that was perfect. That's how you make a star and then help that star make another star. And it almost seemed like they knew what they were doing for a moment. And I dug it because now Ethan Page is on the main roster. He's going to have an interesting feud with Javon Evans that can parlay into other things. Of course, pun always intended.
Yes.
Next up, though, the WWE United States Championship was on the line as your champion Sami Zayn took on Trick Willie himself. Trick Williams with Little Yachty in his corner. This match got 7 minutes and 7 seconds. And at the end of the day, your winner and the new WWE United States Champion. Whoop that trick. Whoop that trick. Trick Williams, baby. Woo! And let me throw it out there. Let me talk to you. This was the right call. By the way, this was another one of those times where 7 minutes was not bad for this match. I'm sure they might have had a little more planned, but when the crowd turned on Sami fully without Sami did one of the most professional things and played into it. He became a heel like that, and I loved every second of it. And then you have to shorten the match down a little bit. I don't think it was planned to go 7 minutes the whole time. I think maybe they were planning for 10 to 12, but guess what? It was the right call. And the reason why is because it was exciting, very exciting. And that was a hell of probably one of the best finishes to a match all weekend.
Yes.
You get, it looks like Sami's going to win the match and then boom, trick shot for the win, baby. Woo. And Little Yachty put out a hell of a performance. He got that interference in there.
I was going to say
took a good bump.
Yep.
Better than Pat McAfee.
Yeah. No lies detected there. He even was coming out to do his certain intro there that is always a gift on all social media there. Like, no, this was the perfect call to make. This was everything we expected to see. Trick is a star.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And if you don't think he's over, that post WrestleMania press conference, enough said.
By the way, did you get the feeling, and I don't know because I didn't really look it up, I think him and Little Yachty are really friends.
Yes, I think so now.
I don't know if that was beforehand. It almost feels like they've been friends for a while, but I don't know. Maybe it's just after they worked together this short period of time. And the reason why is because that post interview, they were very comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, Little Yachty was giving shout outs to Trick's mom, like not even in a disrespect, like in a loving way. By the way, I love that. It was cool to have Trick out there. Cool to put him over. It was cool to see Lash Legend come out, who is his real life fiance. She had to stop him because Trick he was trying to start the celebration early, is all I'm saying. By the way, the pictures and stuff from the after party where Trick was wearing shorts with the United States Championship, and then he goes to the casino with the championship on. He goes to the convenience store with the championship on. I loved every minute of it. I love Trick Willie as champion. Sammy, your thoughts?
I have 3 thoughts because I mean you guys really covered it well here. There's really nothing to add. Trick Williams is a star. Little Yachty, if you again, another celebrity involved for the weekend, and we were kind of about it. Did not do anything negative whatsoever. In fact, actually really enhanced the match and just the overall story in a lot of ways, which is good. If he wants to get a little side career being, a Trick Williams like manager side piece or whatever, Trick doesn't really need a mouthpiece, but hey, would be kind of cool. Trick Williams, the entrance with the big long jacket, just a big train behind it. Missed opportunity, though. Should have been red and should have been just rolling out his own red carpet to walk back on with that title belt.
Okay.
That would have been cool. And
I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that.
No. Just if it was red and then you just left it there and then you could have that WrestleMania moment walking back up the red carpet with the belt would have been kind of cool. And number 3, Sami Zayn. His character has been kind of all over the place the past couple of weeks and months. People haven't really been digging it. Totally leaned into the heel. Kudos to you. And when we start talking about what to do next, I kind of know what Sami Zayn should do next. So we can talk about that later, though. I know what he should be doing next in his next venture.
We'll be talking about that with Fallout. I dig that. Let's move on to the next match, though. It was a street fight. Yeah, they had to make it a street fight on top of everything.
Why not?
A street fight. We got the Demon Finn Balor defeating Dominic Mysterio in 10 minutes and 27 seconds. By the way, first and foremost, I want to first out say the Demon Finn Balor, awesome paint job on the back. If you didn't notice, there was a depiction on his back of the demon eating Dominic Mysterio, which I thought was really, really cool. And then I promised a shout out. And I'm gonna give a shout out because whenever I think of it's not going to work for me, brother, I think of a good friend of ours, Michael Kingston. Salute to you, good sir. And I also think of our good friend Kevin Kleinrock. And yes, I'm name dropping because they're both my friends and I like both of them. And I love the fact that they were involved in Dominic Mysterio's entrance.
Yes.
Of course, Kevin Kleinrock does a lot of management for a lot of luchadors, including Dragon Lee. And so they got real luchadors for that entrance, which was a super cool entrance. Once again, Dominic Mysterio does a great job of entrances at WrestleMania. And of course, our friend Michael Kingston was there. Check out Michael Kingston's amazing works, whether it be Headlocked, whether it be Tales from the Road, where you can learn about how we tie in Rusev to the It's Not Going to Work for Me, brother. And of course, most importantly, Vampiro, who had his last match this past weekend for JCW. Of course, Vampiro's Rockabilly Apocalypse. Get those great comics wherever they're found. Just throwing that out to a friend and good work. But now I'll stop pontificating about my friends and talk about the match. I thought it was a good match. Yes. I thought this was a very solid match. I thought Dominic Mysterio does the chicken shit heel thing better than anybody in the business, but at the same time shows up and can actually wrestle as well. Because I think that he is really, for a kid that we shit on, like relentlessly, has now become one of my favorite performers to watch. And I think he proved it here. Of course, Finn Balor, I think when I get to you, Sammy, in a second, I think he kind of washed some stains off of himself a little bit. And had a damn good WrestleMania match. And I think the two of them together show their friendship and really put each other over. And when we were talking about before, some people rise to the occasion and others don't. I think in this case, both of these gentlemen rose to the occasion, in my opinion. We'll start with you, Sammy. Your thoughts?
I think that was really the best way to put it. For a storyline that at times just never felt like it was going to end, it's finally over. And what a way for it to be. Well, obviously the Judgment Day still lives on, but the Finn Balor, the Dominic portion of it, yes. And yes, Finn definitely got a little bit of an aura back with him, and he needed that because, John Cena just retired, AJ Styles just retired, Brock Lesnar just retired. There's a couple of other guys on that roster, and even the AEW side and just wrestling in general, that the age is not on their side. And Finn Balor, unfortunately, you could start to say that about him. The front of his career is a lot shorter than the rear of it at this point. So I'm glad that he got a huge WrestleMania moment. I'm hoping for more big things from Finn Balor this year. And Dom, the King of the Luchadors, looked all the part of it, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I really do love his entrances. Ken, you get to button this up last. Your thoughts on the street fight?
Dom was robbed. Dom was robbed. He did not agree to this match. It was not a street fight. He was not prepared.
He also prepared to fight Finn Balor, not the Demon.
Yeah, exactly. Contracts matter, folks. And especially in an organized sport such as WWE. they matter.
Mhm,
No,
yeah.
this is a great match. Definitely shout out to our friends Michael and Kevin, who did an amazing job with Master Public, everything going on there, and especially Dom's entrance. Phenomenal. So it was great to see this get the hype it did. Match played out as it should. Finn is due for a push. So this is a great way to start it. It doesn't hurt Dom one bit. Dom is as over as he's always going to be. And getting them separated and let Finn go away from the Judgment Day, I hope. Especially with how he kind of ended things with JD McDonough on Monday. I'm hoping that it was the final nail in that coffin. I'm actually hoping he gets traded to SmackDown. And we see him
So he
show
could
up.
join. He could join the SmackDown version of Judgment Day because R-Truth brought it back the other night.
Well, like I say, that would be kind of
'Cause
fun. But
Rhea's back.
More importantly, what I'm kind of hoping is they do like a Bullet Club type deal with him and Tama Tonga. That's where I would like to see him go.
No,
I mean, it would fit in the
Truth
story a little
and
bit.
Priest and Rhea and Judgment Day on SmackDown Judgment Day. Yeah.
No, but I will be honest. They kind of have that set up because Nakamura has been getting near Tama Tonga. That is the storyline. If you bring over Finn Balor, who is a friend of Shinsuke Nakamura's as well, all of a sudden we might be back in business with a really good storyline there. You could be.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they will.
Right.
Create a bankruptcy,
potentially, yes,
but potentially there, and maybe even some title run. I mean, and I agree with
Damian Priest gets involved. And
I don't know if Damian Priest is getting involved. I think Damian Priest is where Damian Priest is at right now. No, I don't think that's needed. I don't think we're
Danhausen.
Danhausen might be needed, but I don't think we're getting that. Sorry to burst your bubble, Sammy. I don't think we're getting that.
Hey, you're the creative bankruptcy guy. I'm just saying, like it's right there in front of them.
True, but I don't think we're going that way because I don't think about it. They've kept pretty much Mommy and Damian separate, even though they're friends in real life. I mean, they're moving in a certain direction.
Are you saying they're not that bankrupt?
No, I'm not. Well, I mean, I am saying that they're bankrupt, but I don't know if I don't know if you would go that route. Because right now, like you said, I think that the realization is that, and putting this in a nice way, and it's not saying anything against him, Finn Balor is on the back nine. This is not the front nine anymore. He's on the back nine. His career he has less years left on his career than he did beforehand. So now is the time when and like you said, alluded to, and very, very true. There's a lot of guys who are leaving. So now that leaves a big void, and there is a person who can fill that void, and they know that. It's not that they don't know what they have with him. So you have now the perfect player to plug and play. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to take precedent over. They understand, hey, we don't need to rely on these team ups and stuff like that for him necessarily. He's an event person on his own, and I think you're gonna see that. And just like I think Dominic Mysterio has proven that he's the damn best heel in the business over and over again. And once again, I feel zero bad for shouting out my friends because I will always shout out my friends.
Our friends, yeah,
or our friends. Yeah, I can say our friends, but I'm just saying I will. But here's the thing. Let's move on. Speaking of Rhea Ripley, to the WWE Women's Championship match. Your champion, Jade Cargill, taking on Rhea Ripley. This match got 10 minutes and 8 seconds. And at the end of the day, your winner and your new WWE Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley. Mommy is back on top. As always, Mommy should be on top. And this, I'm going to say it before I turn it over to you, Sammy, because I'm going to give you the first word. But I'm just going to say, I can sum this up. This was Jade Cargill's best performance in WWE.
This was Jade Cargill's best. Yeah, this was Jade Cargill's best match. We didn't need to riot. Mommy won, and Jade showed up. And obviously we've questioned Jade and her. I don't want to say that she can't wrestle, just her experience in wrestling. But when put up against an opponent that can match her in a lot of ways, she really showed up, which is also disappointing because of the Bianca Belair situation in terms of we may never get that match at this point, which is a scary thought to creep into. But I digress. We're talking about this. I don't know where either one goes from here. The SmackDown's women division, has been kind of all over the place over the past several months. Now you have Mommy over there. You're probably going to see some NXT call-ups, so it's going to go in a different direction. But yeah, this match, for a match that we thought would potentially be the worst one on the weekend, oh boy, it was not. There were plenty of other contenders.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Get your thoughts of the WWE Women's Championship match.
Echoing what everybody's saying, this is Jade's best match. Period. Rhea got something out of her. This is, played well with the storytelling. Didn't mind the EO spot either. I don't think that hurt. I mean, obviously they gave their tearful, quote unquote, goodbye for now. Which maybe, I don't know, if Io wins Money in the Bank, maybe she cashes in on Rhea. That'd be kind of a fun twist. But no, this is great. This is what they needed to do. It's going to be interesting to see what Rhea winds up doing Friday. In fact, I'm not down a JC Jane appearance to challenge her.
Yeah. And speaking of shout-outs, it was during the WWE Women's Championship match that they had a special guest commentator.
Yes.
A paid-for perk, if you will. However, I know some people were very angry, but we were not, because the person who was there is what should we call him? Metal magnate, and also cryptocurrency billionaire, Adam Weitzman, who is from our area, the 607.
Yes.
Shout out to the 607's own Adam Weitzman. I'm not mad that he paid for that spot. That's fine.
Listen, he follows the brand. I got no problem. Listen, we support him and shout him out. So yeah, no, it was a cool moment, and they want to try establishing Club WWE, and this was a good way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we've called it a money grab, Club WWE is, but hey, that's a business, right? At the end of the day. And I will say this, and it does make it a little easier knowing the person who was at the table. I get why other people are crapping it on the internet, so I'm not defending that. But the man that was at the table is a very awesome dude that does a lot of good things.
Mm-hmm.
Very shady past, but but who
he's
does
open,
it? But
he's open about it.
But he's open about it, and he's made up for it in a lot of ways. And he's once again super charitable, and has done 1.5 million things for 1.5 million people. So I'm never going to make fun of the man because he's tremendous. And it was cool to see. We popped for it, but hey, I understand once again. I understand why the internet was a little perturbed about it, because they didn't know him. Now, mind you, if I didn't know who he was, I'd be like the rest of the guys on the internet. So,
there were far more egregious things to be upset about over the weekend than that.
McAfee was involved in a match at WrestleMania. Enough said.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's talk about the main event. This is what we were all here for. The night 2 main event for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Your champion, the best in the world, the Second City Saint, CM Punk, taking on your tribal chief, the big dog, Roman Reigns. This match got 33 minutes, 56 seconds. Man, we called that almost on the nose. At the end of the day, your winner and the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Roman Reigns. Let's start off. Entrances, by the way. Both men had awesome entrances. Roman Reigns bringing back the original Tribal Chief song. The original, not the newer version. That should have been a key.
Yeah.
And then, of course, CM Punk. We did get AFI Misery Kantar to bring out his thing. And then he did something unique that he did again. I'm not going to talk about Raw until after, except for this part. I wonder if this is going to be his new way of entrance. He walked out onto the stage, which was all black, got down to one knee, wiped the ground like he normally does, checked his watch, yelled it's clobbering time, and then called the personality hit. He did that on Monday Night Raw as well. I don't know if that's going to be his new way of doing the entrance for the time being. I don't know, but it was kind of cool.
It worked.
He did it at WrestleMania, mostly to let the song breathe, and he knew the crowd was very excited. Also to be noted, CM Punk was very emotional with his jacket. I mean, we had Larry represented. We had some people who passed from the back for WWE represented. We had his friend from Punk Metal Band in Chicago who was also represented on the coat, and of course the King, Larry. If you will. Well, Larry was there by the King, Harley Race on the back of the coat. So it was very, very reminiscent, of course, coming out with all white gear with purple and gold trim, which was perfect, spot on Harley Race outfits. Also for a guy who was about to bleed during a match. There you go. White always works the best. True story. Like it makes a sweat.
That's true.
The match was what we thought it was going to be and more. I'm going to be honest with you. This is one of those that it might not be my favorite WrestleMania match of all time. It might not be the greatest WrestleMania match of all time, but I know I'm going to let you talk about this in a minute. But Sammy said something about the other guy. I do believe this could be a top 10 main event of all time.
Easily.
And the match played out amazingly well. It played out storyline wise. It played out wise. I love the shit talking between the two gentlemen. Oh my God. Is there a better shit talker in the ring than Roman Reigns?
Yeah.
Probably, I mean, Punk's up
not
there,
at this stage,
but I don't think he's got Roman Reigns in the ring. The shit that Roman was talking to the ring was great. CM Punk was matching him. They're going back and forth. I mean, at one point in juncture, Punk's mocking the acknowledging. He's got the Ula Fala on, fans Ula Fala, not the real one. It was impressive. Like I thought that these two brought it. Like I said, the storytelling, and then storytelling even played in the ending. Like talk about like a perfect ending to the match. CM Punk runs out of gas. Maybe age does play a factor, right? Like, you get to the end of the match, he hits him with, gets sidesteps, hits him with a big GTS. He falls back into place. We've seen Punk do this before. This is how he beat Rollins. Punk goes to get back up to deliver the final blow, and he just collapses, which gives Roman enough time to get up. Big time spear for the win. And I thought that was a perfect way to show. CM Punk gave it his all, went out there against the guy who's on top of the business, and just ran out of gas.
Yeah.
I thought it was a beautiful story to tell, and I dug it. Go ahead, Ken. What's your thoughts?
No, best match of the weekend by far. Great storytelling top to bottom. Like everything you wanted from a WrestleMania main event, you got in this match. Loved how it ended. I mean, I was hoping Punk won, but after hearing the post WrestleMania press conference there, I'm actually okay with how it ended and very interested to see where this is all leading.
We will talk about that in a second. Sammy, before we talk about the post show, what say you about the main event of night 2 of WrestleMania?
Wrestling on WrestleMania. We finally got it. We had to wait all the way to the end, but we finally got it. And it was absolutely beautiful, magical, wonderful storytelling. And it just goes to show that, you don't have to go out there and do all the crazy moves. You don't have to do all the crazy stuff. You can still tell a really strong, captivating wrestling, based story, and people will buy into it. Now, could you do that all night with every single one? No, you couldn't do that. You do have to, give a little bit of everything, but WrestleMania overall needed more of this. And I think the biggest takeaway from it, is CM Punk's been back in WWE now, what, like 3 years at this point, right?
Right around 3 years.
He's done everything he wanted to do. So CM Punk, he's kind of free. He's kind of free from all of the things that kind of weighed on him over the years. He wanted a WrestleMania main event. Well, he got one last year. Now he's legitimately solidly got one. Now he's gotten a feud with a bunch of people, wrap up some old feuds and heal a lot of old wounds. So, like, CM Punk, where do you go from here? Like, that's awesome. And that's great. That's great to just be free of all that stuff. Good for him. And go out there and have fun now.
It is
not that he wasn't before.
We'll talk about next steps for him as well in a second. But let's dive right in. Let's talk about post WrestleMania fallout, because we could just pontificate about how great the match was. But there was some fallout. We're talking about. Let's just start with the post show. We mentioned it already, but there was a big one that I left off. I said Obafemi doesn't need somebody to talk for him because Obafemi came out on night 2's press conference. Of course, they talked to him about the moment and Brock retiring and what it meant, and Oba was very good, and what. But then they get to the next part, and the last thing that they say to him, the last question is, what's next for Obafemi? And Oba answers it by saying, firstly, tomorrow I'm going to celebrate. I beat Brock Lesnar. I did I'm going to celebrate. Then the next day I'm going to start getting on my grind, because lastly, I'm going to build up, because I'm coming for Roman Reigns. Interesting. By the end of the year, I'm coming for Roman Reigns. The ruler is going to take on the chief. Fast forward, Roman Reigns graced us with his presence at a post show.
Yeah.
That alone should be a headline, right? So Roman graces with his presence. And first of all, things of note, when asked if he has earned some respect from CM Punk, being asked by Corey Graves, who is one of CM Punk's friends, Roman, I think, did a great job of answering that. He said, as a person, I don't know. But as a performer in that ring, absolutely. You saw a man go out there tonight, and I didn't think anything different. He gave, 100%. It might have not been enough tonight, but damn, it was good. Credit to that. But the crowd throughout was very vehemently chanting Oba at Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about what the crowd wants, they'll tell you what they want.
Yeah.
And as they chanted at him the first couple times, Roman looked at him, shot him a glance. At the end, though, he had to put it over and said, hey, that could be there. And then to Ken's point, said, listen, all this part-time talk, y'all about to be real mad because I'm going to be here all summer.
Yeah.
Kind of saying that maybe Roman Reigns has got a full-time wrestler schedule, at least through SummerSlam. I would assume that's what he's meaning.
That's where I think he's going to.
So, and to Sammy's point, I will throw this out there. you could follow the Obafemi could follow the line of Brock Lesnar. He could win the King of the Ring, which would give him a shot at the world champion, at SummerSlam. You could have the biggest match of the summer be Obafemi versus Roman Reigns. And if you're smart, you have Oba smash Roman, much like Brock smashed The Rock at his first SummerSlam.
Yep.
And you could run them parallel.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that you could tell a great story, especially if Roman's going to be there the entire time, leading to that match, which gives them the time to put him over. And I think that is their plan. I'm saying, once again, creatively bankrupt, so they could drop the ball. But if I had to guess, that's their plan. What say you, Ken?
Pat McAfee's winning the Money in the Bank. He'll cash in.
On Roman Reigns?
Yep, it'll be revenge. Randy Orton will help him. It'll be all over. No, I mean, if Roman's going to stick around, I'm okay with this. The only thing I don't like, and maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit, is how Monday Night Raw ended.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second.
Right. That's the only thing I don't like about how this was going.
Because I was going to get to that.
Yeah, but I'll say this. If he's going to be around for the summer, which is great, I have no problem with him winning then.
Sammy, what say you about the post-WrestleMania press conference?
I think it's going to be challenging for WWE to tell some sort of an interesting, quick story with Oba to just kind of get to that King of the Ring tournament. And quite frankly, I think the best thing they should do would be literally start talking about it now, just to start planting that seed and to start talking about bracketing and seeding. That way you can just leap right into that with Oba, because I don't want to see him doing anything else. I don't want to see him feuding with anyone else. I don't want to see, I want his next thing that he does is SummerSlam with Roman. So the next thing he has to do would be to get that shot. I don't want to see him do some sort of a one-off feud with someone or whatever. I don't want to see someone bump into him with a cup of coffee like Jericho and Kane. I don't want none of that. I want his focus to just be on that belt and on Roman Reigns. So figure it out how to start talking about King of the Ring now, or however you're going to get him that number one contendership.
I don't think you have to talk about it. It's simple. You didn't talk about it when Brock did it. Brock showed up to the King of the Ring and won the damn tournament. That's all you have to do. Next big thing. He's conquered the beast at WrestleMania. He's just dominant. You throw him in there with some, you don't have to have a feud, but you throw him in there like you did with Brock against just, you know, the who's who. He qualifies for the King of the Ring. He goes in the King of the Ring. He smashes everybody on the way to win the finals. He wins the finals and it builds itself. You actually really don't have to build anything. Exactly. You're gifted it.
Yeah.
The only thing you have to do is figure out what you're doing with Roman, which we're going to get to in a second, on the road to SummerSlam before that happens. Because with Oba, it's simple.
No, it's just my fear is they're going to do something stupid in between.
No, they probably will. But my point is you don't have to literally, like, because you did say about building a story, you don't have to build a story for him. The story is just this. He goes in, he smashes a tournament that gives him a shot. He calls out, he picks his shot, which is going to be Roman Reigns. And we have the match of SummerSlam, and he smashes Roman Reigns. And that's the exact playbook of Brock Lesnar. And I feel like that playbook works.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
It works. And there's a bunch of parallels there, i.e. Oba's the new Brock Lesnar. He's the new next big thing. And on the other hand of it, Roman, in a lot of ways, is the next Rock. And The Rock did that job. So you're following like a familiar line. And I think that is actually really cool in its own. Once again, to your point, Sammy, yes, they will probably fuck it up, but it doesn't need to be. It literally writes itself. You just do this. And let's jump to what Ken's point is. And that's where I'm worried, because I'm not worried about the Oba part, because it should write itself, even though they'll mess it up. Until I'm proven otherwise, it will. Here's the thing, though. You still have to get Roman from point A to point B, not saying about being champion, but what's he going to do in the meantime? And the fear of me, and it happened, is like a dog to vomit. WWE cannot help but go back to the Bloodline story. And they did. Come on, Big Jim and Jay, you can come to the ring with me. You could be my lackeys once again. Yeah. The only saving grace of any of it was the fact that as they were about to acknowledge each other and, have a big Bloodline jerk-off session as we've come to know it, the parade got rained on by the Samoan werewolf, who also happens to be their cousin. And he ain't there to acknowledge Roman Reigns. He told Roman, I'm here because I don't want that belt. I need that belt.
Yeah.
I need to feed my family. I need to put myself in a position where you are. I want to make all that money. I want to be the tribal chief. I don't want to wait for my turn. I'll give credit. Roman handled it very well because Roman kind of trying to bypass him off in the Roman way does work.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a week to think about that. By the way, giving Jacob Fatu a week to think about something just means you're giving him a week to think about felonies. So Roman, you better come you better come prepared with all the uses.
Yeah.
Because if you don't think that you're not going to get jumped and beat down by Jacob Fatu next week on Monday Night Raw, oh boy, I got some news for you. That's going to happen. The werewolf's going to get you because you just gave him just too much time to think about how to get to you. And that's always a big mistake. Just throwing it out there. And I love Jacob Fatu. So on one end, I'm going to say this. I love Jacob Fatu getting a spotlight on him because I think he deserves it. I think it sucks that he's going to probably get beat on the road through. But even in a loss, as long as it's handled well, I think that it still makes him look super strong, especially being out there with Roman Reigns. So I'm going to say I appreciate that. The part I don't appreciate and the part that scares me about everything is, like I said, like a dog to vomit. Why do we need the bloodline yet again? Like, can we not come up? Like, it's literally at this point in juncture, and I could be wrong. Now, as I've always said on this show, if I'm proven wrong, I'm fine with that. I admit it, right? But at this point in juncture, is anybody else getting NWO vibes from the bloodline? I mean, not that they have a million members.
No, but it's the same old shit. Like, I mean, that's the easiest way to describe it. And the fact we're going back to it is just like, now what? Sami Zayn's going to join in this again?
Yeah,
that's immediately what I thought.
Pretty much.
But is he going to work with Jake?
No.
And they just told the story too of CM Punk egging him on, saying he couldn't do it on his own. And what did he do? He did it on his own. And so then what does he do the next day? You go right back to it. So it's like,
like, I don't need you. Hey, I love you. You're my family, but I don't need you. I proved that last night. No, instead he's like, nah, man, let's acknowledge. Let's go.
Yeah.
Bloodline 4.0 at this point, right?
Yeah, it's just like, why are we? It goes back to the creative bankruptcy thing. It's just, this is what we're going with, and it's just like, why? So,
unfortunately, we should have seen the writing on that wall with the going back to the original music. Like, we were marking out for the original music. Now I'm like, oh, damn it.
Yeah, I thought
they tipped their hand.
Yeah, I thought they did. I'm like, I'm hoping I'm wrong. And then as soon as we saw Roman go into the ring, and then he saw the Usos and said, "Come out with me," I'm like, here we go.
That was kind of funny. I looked that up. Like, I didn't message you at the time, but I'm like literally watching it, going, "Did he just like little cousin? Like, come on,
yeah,
come with me, like roll with me, bro. Like, come on,
it's the good old days."
What are we doing here, Sammy? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I added in that little tidbit there. It's like he won it on his own, and then you're right back into the bloodline. Okay. There was something else that happened when Roman was out there. There was some other chants going on that people were creeping around on the internet.
We had Oba. We had more Oba chants. Continue though. Yeah,
we had Oba chants, but there was some TKO chants going on as well, and that's
with an F-bomb in front of it.
Yes. With an F-bomb, and I think that's
loud.
also very loud. I think that's important to highlight too, because it's become abundantly clear, and there's even been reports about quotes from TKO officers and executives talking about the creative direction and their control over it and everything. Yeah, it's they bought a product that they truly needed more. They truly needed WWE because of their inability to really run the UFC and the cash problems they have with the UFC and everything, and they are just. They're milking every dime they can out of WWE, and it is negatively affecting the product overall. And it's really showing, and it really did here. And that is WWE's not going anywhere. Don't even think that it's going there. But in a time where there is another wrestling company that does have TV, that does do pay-per-view, that does have a lot of money, it is scary to be messing around with something that's been a cash cow for 30 plus years. It's scary to mess around with that.
You could argue 40 years. You could argue a little longer.
Right.
I
Well,
mean,
the
WrestleMania era,
90s,
40, we're
90s was a
42.
little weird. They say, I was still making money, but you're right. It's been making money for a long time, and now you found ways for it to make more money, but you have started to really negatively impact the product.
So here's the problem that WWE's going to run into. Like, I'm glad you brought that up before we talk about the final point, which would be CM Punk and where CM Punk's headed. Here's the thing. This is what WWE's headed towards. But I'm gonna throw this out there. We already talked about the ticket sales apocalypse, and they're in it. They're having problems because they're so expensive, to the point that they are making them cheaper, but it's hilarious because they're taking L's to do it. Like, they're taking L's in public society. TKO has now become such a firing squad that this is going to be a problem for Roman Reigns going forward. Roman Reigns, the one nice thing about CM Punk is he's very good at talking into the building, right? The bad part about CM Punk is that he's good at not telling lies, as we know. And most of his promos are work shoots. That's just facts. He takes a kernel of truth and he blows it up. And that's why it feels real. And that's why he's so good. If anybody ever wanted to know, if anybody questions that, right? Right. And one thing he did was he drew the parallel between Roman Reigns and TKO. You're a company guy.
Yeah.
I'm not a company guy. You are. They can't control me, but you are going to win because they can control you. And the crowd is smart. And there's where you have the FTKO chance when Roman Reigns is out there. And that's bad news, because now you're going to turn him heel without really being a heel. It's not the kind of heat you want. You know what I mean? This is not even like X-Pac heat or go away heat. This is literally, we are mad at the machine and we're going to take it out on you.
Yeah.
Like, we don't necessarily hate you, but we're going to take it out on you because you're part of the machine. And that's going to put Roman in a position that he used to be in when they were shoving him down our throats. And I'm fearful for what could happen, because Roman has come a long way as a performer. So he might be able to weather this storm, and that is fine. And that is awesome. And he's going to have to say some things, though, right? But if he doesn't weather the storm, we're going back to the eating dog food era, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Sucker and succotash could be back. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. And I'm not taking anything away from what Roman's done or accomplished. I'm just saying, if he can't handle the pressure and they start throwing, like, the crowd is going to get him. I think that's going to happen. And they're playing with fire because Jacob Fatu is overly popular. Oba Femi is overly popular. And these guys are not, even though the machine's behind them, they're not looked at as the machine's guys.
Yeah.
And there's other guys on that list, and you're going to run a gambit there. That's why I said they need to focus less on the bloodline and focus more on how do you get Roman to SummerSlam to drop the title to Oba. The Oba part writes itself. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Yes.
The Roman part doesn't now. And it's going to get muddier. And I promise you that much, because I don't think the TKO stuff is going away. I think that Mark Shapiro's too stupid to stop talking. Like, that's the problem. He was talking again, hence why I made the joke about more celebrities, because that's what he said. And once again, I think TKO gets a lot of credit where they shouldn't. And you're right. They needed WWE because of the revenue, because they ran UFC into the ground. That is why it's on Paramount Plus for free, because their buddies own Paramount and they gave them a little bit of a financial backing, but not enough to make pay-per-views free. Because if you were really making the money that they should have been making, the UFC, charging $60 to $80 a pay-per-view before they really jacked it up and really screwed us all over, you wouldn't need that, would you? But they didn't. And that is also the problem, Sammy, because I want to finish up with that before I toss it around one last time before we talk about Punk. The problem is that now Mark Shapiro and company can talk out of pocket, because that company that backs them now purchased the company that your rival is working under. And that is what scares me as a fan. I've said it before, and it's something that is the back of my mind. It's something that should be in the back of every wrestling fan's mind. You're not talking about people who have integrity that run Paramount Plus. I'm not going to get too political, I promise. I'm just saying you're not dealing with that, right? Blood money comes to terms there, and a bunch of other things, right? If you really want to get into it, they could cancel AEW shows. They could bury AEW. Remember when they were bad and used to joke about True TV? They could bury them on True TV. They can do a lot of things when they take that company over. So maybe TKO is right. Now, granted, I think Tony Khan saw the writing on the wall. One of the best business moves I think he ever made was the AEW Plus stuff they have, because it's set up to be international now, but it could go worldwide.
Didn't they
now.
just get rid of that?
No, they just unleashed it.
Yeah.
You're thinking about the Triller deal. They have a whole new streaming service for international. It's incredible.
Yeah. And the US is in the works.
US is allegedly in the works, but I think US will be in the works if it's not. Yeah, they just unleashed it.
I'm thinking something else.
You're thinking about the original version. They had a different version that they used to run. You had a pass that you bought on Triller. Now they have a version of it that you get through a thing. But Sammy, what's your thoughts on what I just said?
Yeah, it's scary. It's very scary. And AEW is going to continue to play a role in this as long as they do.
I want to change it. It's my AEW now. AEW Plus was the one that went out. It's my AEW. Yeah. I just get them confused. But my AEW is the new version that they have. Sorry, Sammy, continue. Sorry.
No, and it's just AEW plays a huge role in this, and needs to continue to play a huge role in this, because if AEW was just magically to disappear overnight, think about how much more power WWE TKO would have, because TKO WWE, they still have to pay and sometimes overpay people. They still have to at times really focus on storytelling and competition, and they've been struggling with some of that, but at the end of the day, they still have to play that game. And again, we're not talking about AEW just leaps and bounds becoming a better, overall the number one wrestling product in the world. I don't know if they'll ever get there, and that's okay. They don't need to. They need to keep doing what they're doing, and it continues to keep the heat on WWE, because, oh boy, if they didn't, just imagine this scenario if AEW didn't exist. Oh boy.
Agreed. Ken.
Yeah. What else needs to be said?
True. All right, so let's wrap it up here with CM Punk, because that was the last big piece after getting past Roman Reigns. CM Punk came out once again. I mentioned how he did the same entrance, which was nice, minus Misery Kentar. Got into the ring, and honestly, in a weird way, I thought it was one of the best, most candid CM Punk promos of all time. You would think the CM Punk would come out and tell how upset he was that he lost. He did say that he's disappointed that he lost. But it was really an uplifting speech. I love the fact that he, basically came out and said, hey, I gave it my all. And on that night, I don't think Roman's better than me, but on that night he was. And so my hat's off to him. He deserved to win. But hey, it's good to be alive on a Monday night in Las Vegas. And, here's how I look at things. I was never meant to be champion. From the time I won the belt and, the cash-in happened, that was what I was meant. That little piece. And then the way that it worked, the belt fell out of the sky and I got a run and I got to main event WrestleMania. And that is a dream, and I can't complain about everything, but listen, that wasn't in the cards. And that's just what it is. And my job is to wait for that to the next time for the belt to fall out of the sky and just be ready. That's my job. My job isn't to come out here. My job is to come out here and have great wrestling matches, entertain you folks, and just be prepared. Because if there's ever a time where the belt falls out of the sky again, I'll be ready for it, right? And I thought that was a really cool take from somebody who is, like we said, 47 years old.
Yeah.
So he is towards the end of his career, although he is still wrestling at, let's be honest, a really well paid.
High level.
High level, yeah, absolutely. And this brings out the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, which we got a peek at the Shiner. I feel like whenever he's injured because of the pec thing, we've always got to see the injury. That was that eye is disturbing, right?
Yes.
But I feel like the disservice started there, because I think Cody Rhodes has a concussion, a bad concussion, because the way he was talking was really,
it was not a great Cody promo.
He didn't deliver well. He was trying to say things and it didn't come across. I don't know if I would have put him on TV. And I think Punk sensed that. And at one point, Punk takes over, thankfully. But he basically comes out and he's like, I don't feel like a winner. And Punk kind of gives him no, man, you won. You went, despite the eye, you fought one of the greatest wrestlers of all time and you came out on top. The deck was stacked against you. Kudos to you, doing the baby face thing. And then Cody basically, it would have been more effective. Like I said, that's what it was when he basically was like, well, you were the one that lost and I feel like the loser. And I was like, the backhanded comment, which was nice, the crowd caught instantly, but it could have been delivered better. Once again, I can't blame him because I do believe he's not 100%. And Punk caught it too. And that's why I said, thankfully, Punk saved it. Because Punk is like, well, I feel like you're calling me a loser, and it is what it is. Like, I wasn't expected to win my match. I showed up and showed out, and that's fine. I wasn't supposed to be champion. You, on the other hand, you're QB1. You're the guy that's, the champion. The machine's behind you. Like, you're the one that should win, and you did. But just remember, your job is to be the champion and to kiss the babies and to do all the right things. And my job is to just be ready when there's a belt falls from the sky and drops the mic. To which Cody Rhodes does say as he was leaving, anytime, any place. To which Punk smirks. So teasing a CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes, obviously Money in the Bank comes to mind when you talk about belts falling from the sky, although you don't have to do Money in the Bank because once again, he's talking about happenstance got him to the last title, not anything else, which is a possibility as well. Honestly, what are you feeling? I'll start with you, Ken. What are you feeling about the not even possibility, the teasing of CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes for the Undisputed Championship?
They're doing Skywalker's match. Taking it back to the old school scaffolding 15 feet high in the air.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so.
He tipped off about Money in the Bank, and it's a good tease. It's a really good tease about where his future is going because he says he wants to get one more title run in him. And, with Cody, I think he sensed he was off. I think we all knew something was not right there. So I thought it was a solid promo, and especially saying like, hey, I'm not going to go anywhere. People thought he was going to take time off. He's like, no, I'm just going to get back at it and then kind of see where we go. But it was he kept saying fall from the sky too many times for it not to be Money in the Bank.
I agree with you. It was a good foreshadowing, but it's once again, he does a lot of foreshadowing. So I do believe that. Although, like you said, if he does, I said, but you agreed that if they do want to change it and not have him win Money in the Bank, you can have him mean a litany of things. But I do believe Money in the Bank is, and by the way, 2-time former winner of Money in the Bank with 2 successful cash-ins. He won it back to back at Mania. Sammy, your thoughts on CM Punk and Cody Rhodes?
I really enjoy when Punk talks about the burden of being champion. I think that's just such an underutilized segment program idea in wrestling because there is a burden of being the guy at the top. And not just the storyline part of it where, you're the champion, everyone's coming for you. Like, no, when they put the belt on you, you are the guy. You are supposed to be the first one in, last one to leave, literally last one to leave because you're generally going on last. You have to be at all the interviews. You got to be at all the press. You got to be at front and center and everything. There is, an actual corporate burden. And then there's the storyline burden of it as well. So I think that really works well and Punk sells it well. And I hope others in wrestling kind of adopt it as well because it's a huge burden. And Punk went out there and he felt very burden free, which he is because he's not champion and obviously losing stinks. But like I was alluding to earlier, he's accomplished everything he really wanted to do in wrestling at this point. He came back to WWE, got the Great Homecoming, had a feud of the year with McIntyre. He's a 2-time champion. I know one of them he only had for like 5 minutes, but he's a 2-time heavyweight champion. He got 2 WrestleMania main events, including one of the best ones of all time. Like, he's free to do whatever he wants. He has no burden in wrestling right now. And to go in to do a program with Cody, someone he is friends with, sure, that'll be fun.
I mean, his only burden is smacking a phone out of a fan's hand, which, by the way, I will say in closing, I will say in closing, are you surprised?
No, not
this
surprised
is like being like, and I'm
all
not
the right
blaming.
reasons,
by the way,
yeah.
I am not blaming CM Punk because I'm solidly on Punk's side.
Facts.
So let me clarify that before I
Punk's
say
side.
it. But are you surprised if you have a ham sandwich in front of a bear and it bites you? You know what I mean?
The guy's name is Punk. He's a punk.
Right. Well, on top of that, he's also been very public that he doesn't like when people shove things in his face. He doesn't like and he's been on his best behavior because, everybody's watching him. But here's the problem. If it was just Punk, I don't think he slaps the phone. I think he just kind of treats the guy like crap, which is fine. You shouldn't be shoving your phone and doing things in front of these people. Like the whole, by the way, WWE and TKO failed every wrestler. Every wrestler, because there was too many people in those hotels with less security, and there was a lot of things going on that was crazy. Like everybody was getting swarmed. We saw videos. Stop the shit.
Yeah.
Like if you're a fan of wrestling, be a fan of wrestling, but respect the people who do it. Like this is annoying and it's just terrible. It's a bad look. And when you're filming somebody's wife, and I understand that she's in the wrestling business and she's talking to somebody else in the wrestling business, but still that has no bearing on what you're doing. So yeah, listen, if I was CM, for those people who think that, oh, it's so horrible when CM Punk did, yo, shut up. Because honestly, put yourself in his shoes. And maybe you're too much of I'm not going to use the word, but maybe you're too coward to protect your family. Me, on the other hand, if I couldn't be CM Punk, because I'd be sitting in jail and getting sued because I'd have punched that guy in the mouth. Let somebody film my wife. I'll put myself in that shoes. I don't care if I'm CM Punk or I don't care if I'm Denzel Washington. I don't care who I am. You can name a celebrity. I don't care. If you were filming my wife after you were told not to, I'm going to, you wouldn't just be thrown. I would have smashed that phone and probably punched you in the mouth. Because listen, especially if I have, as CM Punk remind us, he's got fuck you money. So go ahead, sue me. I'll pay for the lawsuit. And so to give him credit, he was a lot more laid back than I would have been. I'm just throwing that out there. Your thoughts, Ken?
No, I mean, Punk was spot on about it. Like I said, I agree with everything he did about it because for the reports that are coming back about the lack of security in the hotels, which is egregious. You know, the wrestlers had to do what they had to do. I mean, it's just a poor showing from TKO and WWE if this the lack of security is true, because honestly, there's too many reports for it not to be. And this is, like I say, Punk did the right thing.
Yeah, and before I turn it over to Sammy, it's also poor on wrestling fans, because as much as I blame TKO, because I do, you have enough money that you should be paying for the security details, just throwing that out there. But I also blame fans, because you have to be self-accountable, because it wasn't just the incidents there, because we had an incident at WrestleCon with Elena Black and something, and thankfully they got a picture of the guy and it got smeared everywhere, and I'm sure he was disinvited from a lot of things, and I don't know this, but maybe somebody took matters in their own hands. Who knows? I don't know. However, it's disturbing and disgusting that these things happen continuously in the wrestling business from the wrestling fandom. It is terrible and it needs to stop. Sammy, your thoughts?
It's a huge black eye on TKO. I'm not blaming hotel staff. I really can't.
No, it's definitely not.
No. Yeah, it's not hotel staff and security. It's not their responsibility to try and maintain order in a hotel casino that's just open. Anyone can kind of walk in and out of there. That's not their role and their responsibility, especially when you have a multi-billion-dollar TKO company. You can do better than this. And for WrestleMania, we understand, wrestlers, they're generally responsible for a lot of the logistics and stuff for many events, but WrestleMania, no. And now you could say, well, you could have stayed somewhere else. You didn't have to stay with where the WWE put you up. You could do that. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to at all. If WWE TKO was responsible for all the logistics for WrestleMania, which they were, you got to do better. And same thing, wrestling fans, you got to do better. Concert fans, rock star fans, you got to do better. Actor fans, you got to do better. It's one thing when you see someone in an airport and you pull out your phone and you're standing 10, 15, 20 feet away and you wave and you got your camera out or whatever. That's one thing. You're right in someone's face. What do you expect? This is America.
True. And I will say this. It is one thing if you come at somebody respectfully, and then people will, and they can respectfully say no. And you need to respect that. Even if you come at somebody nice and say, hey, can I get a picture with you? And they say, no, I can't. I don't care if they're nice to you or not. They don't have to kiss your ass. That's not true. They're not their job.
Yeah.
They are allowed to say no. And when they say no, you go, okay, thank you. I understand. And walk away. Not getting in their face. Because I'm telling you, and I get it. Some people are chasing those lawsuits. But you might want to rethink that, because Chris Jericho has been known to punch a motherfucker. Chris Jericho punched mofos right in the face.
Yeah.
Because once again, he's like me. He don't care if you have that FU money. Punches are coming, And I think that's another thing. Like I wouldn't have blamed Punk if he punched him. As a matter of fact, he showed restraint, because I wouldn't have just thrown the guy's phone. I would have smashed that phone. It wouldn't have just been the throw. It would have been the wind up and the smash. You're not getting that phone back. And then if you say something else to me, you're getting punched. I don't care if jail is involved. I don't care if money is involved. I have money. I'll be bailed out. It's fine. I'm fine. Even if I don't have money, we're talking about rich right now. Like let somebody film my wife. If you want to find out, you can. And I'm not saying that because I'm the toughest guy on the planet. I'm just saying that as a man, I understand the want and / need to protect your family.
Mm.
And that doesn't just go for men, it goes for women. Like it's disgusting and disturbing to me what we've seen in airports and at WrestleMania weekend for the WWE women and other women as well.
Mm.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It is scary. And we need more people like the people who were in line for that Elena Black photo or signing or whatever at WrestleCon, who stopped what they were doing and got pictures of that guy and smeared it all over the internet. I mean, granted, I think that guy should have gotten a beating as well. Somebody should have shown him an ass whooping, and who knows, maybe they did. I don't know. But at least they got his face front and center. So you know who did it. And now you've been publicly outed. And I feel that and he should be banned from every wrestling show and every wrestling event and everything else possible. Like, you should not let him be in attendance anywhere. We need to start policing it. And we've seen the crowd police itself. And it does usually, for the most part. I've seen it firsthand at independent wrestling shows where somebody says or does something, whether it's a comment, whether it's inappropriate, whatever, and the crowd reacts as such. And more of that needs to happen. And I know we got into this world, and I don't want to dive into it where, sometimes, people think that that's toxic or whatever. No, it's just, we're in a world now where people think they can get away with some really nasty, dirty things. And they do when nobody does anything about it. Mm. And that's where, if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
Don't stand back. And I'm not saying that you necessarily have to physically violence, because as you saw, I pointed out, the people who got the pictures of that guy did the right thing. Could you have thrown him an ass whooping? Sure, I would have. Would I have blamed you? No. I would have started the GoFundMe to get you out. I'm sure a lot of people would have donated. However, you did a great job by just outing that person so that person can't get away with it again, because his face is everywhere. Like, that was all over the internet.
Yeah.
Well, that's not fair, Rich. That's doxing somebody. Get out of here. What he did wasn't fair, was it? Play dumb games, win dumb prizes, is all I'm saying. We need to do better as a community. That's all. I'm going to leave it on that because I'm going to get off the soapbox. But I think that should be the thing. Not only the companies need to do better by providing security for the stars, but we, as fans of everything, and I like how Sammy lumped everything together because it's true. As wrestling fans, as movie fans, as music fans, whatever fandom, we need to do better and not allow people to do the things that they do. This is a scary society when things like this, it just shouldn't happen, period. And there was a time where it didn't, by the way. There was a time where this was like, oh man, wow, that happened? And we'd be shocked. But now we hear it and we're like, happens every show.
Yeah.
It's terrible. So you need to do better. So with that being said, we're going to close out here. Thank you for sticking with us for the long WrestleMania show. Thank you for tuning in for the WrestleMania preview show as well. I know I didn't say that earlier, but you guys are blowing me away with all your wonderful, kind gratitude for our new friends, for our old friends. Thank you for supporting us. And I hope you continue to enjoy what we're doing here, not just with the weekly wrestling show, but also with all the other tremendous and awesome things that are going on for Fanlight Zone and all the great interviews and stuff that have come your way, and the more that will be coming your way. Little tease for later. So make sure you're supporting by subscribing to the Fanlight Zone YouTube channel, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you know whenever we go live or whenever a new video comes out, and hit that thumbs up so you can help us fight that algorithm. Make sure you're following us on all the social medias, because there's extra content that you get there, whether Ken is tweeting out wrestling stuff during wrestling shows, or whether we're sharing comic book stuff, or whether we're doing some cool shorts and everything else. You're going to want to check that out on those social medias. And last but not least, we are powered by FanlightZone.com, the premier site for all comic book reviews. I said it, I'll stand by it, and I'll say it again. I will. And it's not just because I rate reviews, not just because Ken does it. I stand by it, and we can prove it each and every week. I have the receipts for everybody who doesn't believe it. Don't you worry. One day, Rich will have a pipe bomb. One day, I promise that much. But before then, I will tell you, if you want to find out what's going on in the world of comic books and what comic books you should be reading, check out all of our reviews. New Comic Book Day every Wednesday. Nobody does it like FanlightZone.com. And I mean Nobody. With that being said, thank you so much once again. I'm humbled that you guys tune in to hear me pontificate and talk all my shit along with my two friends here. And we really appreciate you more than you'll ever know. So with that being said, thank you very much. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And until next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when we are live once again for 607 TWS, The Wrestling Show. Later, wrestling fans.